TEW 2016, the branding solution, and we are back here after the Royal Rumble, which had exceptionally good rated matches, but a terrible overall score due to lack of interviews, which was incredibly disappointing when I think the lowest match of the night was a 60 or a 65, which was saying something sure in hell. And I had the match of the current year, second best match we've actually had as the main event, as Seth Rollins retained his title over Daniel Bryan. But we're going to be straight into Raw and to see where things are going to go. We start on the pre-show, off the guys not quite being used. Kevin Owens, your Royal Rumble winner, beats Anthony Nese with a 71. So that's a great start to the show. And we go back down where Heath Slater, I needed him to get a win. He hasn't really done much. Beats Noam Dar, simple enough. Biff Busick picks up a main roster victory, much needed, I believe. Tyler Bate defeats No Way Jose, another poor looking match. Jimmy Uso defeats Elias Sampson. As you may notice, there aren't too many tag team matches on here, and that's because there's something going on the main show, and it's going to be a lot of members of the tag team. Kyle O'Reilly picked up a win over Rhino, much needed for his team. Xavier Woods defeated Marty Scurll. Good victory there, 59 rating. And this, I think, is actually the main event. It's not a good pre-show, but I didn't have many big names available for pre-showing work. So we have Brian Kendrick defeat the new signing Damien O'Connor, who is Killian from NXT. I will be looking to bring him up. I just want to let him get used to the style first, and then we'll call him by his real name. So we jump straight into the main show, where Triple H introduces his champions, Seth Rollins and Big E. He also introduces his backup plan, Dean Ambrose, and his Royal Rumble winner, Kevin Owens. And he says, look at this talent. We've got all the gold, all the plans. What's going to stop us? And that brings out Roman Reigns, who did beat Brock Lesnar. So that means he gets a title match of his choosing at Fully Loaded. I've moved it to be Fully Loaded rather than the WrestleMania because I want a title match there. And he has told Seth that he is coming for that title. And Seth looks furious. He knows that he's entitled to a one-on-one match. So it will be Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns once again in the main event. Bray Wyatt also makes an appearance, coming out with his Money in the Bank briefcase to inform Hunter that he doesn't have all of the plans. And just watch your back, champions. Which is followed up by Daniel Bryan, who wants another shot. Triple H agrees, and he books a 20-man battle royal to see who will face Big E at Fully Loaded. And he tells Daniel that he will be a member of that Rumble, as will Mr. Wyatt there. It's a good start to the show. Just moving on to the next little pay-per-view before the big one. We have the Sumerian Death Squad defeat American Alpha. Now, I've leaned towards putting these two as my main tag team from this group. So yeah, a nice nearly 60 rating. We're not going to complain about a figure. And afterwards, backstage, we see William Regal talking to the whole crew with Rampage Brown and Jack Gallagher. All the Brits chatting away backstage. Could this be for something, or is it just for a little bit of an angle? We move on to show Neville defeat Jack Gallagher. TV champion needs to get a win. 59, so we're solid consistently with our matches. And Carlito attacks Neville after the match, holding up the title. These two are facing each other and Fully Loaded. The Certified G's wanted to have a win for them, but that didn't happen when Harper and Rowan get the win. Thanks to Harper using the leverage, it was meant to be a distraction. I think it still did go down as a distraction, thankfully. Solid enough match. Give Harper another big win, so really pushing him for a singles run. Chris Jericho has warned The Miz that at Fully Loaded, he won't be able to say that he is awesome anymore, because the best in the world at what he does is going to make The Miz shut up. So yeah, a nice 80 rating there. We've toyed at this idea. They are both going into the Battle Royal, so we always knew these two weren't going to win that. We've gone and given Jay Lethal a win on telly over Lance Rush, just to continue a little bit of a push for Lethal. Lance Rush could be put in good matches, so yeah. And this is sort of the backstage segment where they're all sort of wanting another chance to prove they're worthy of the tag titles. And I'm continuing this little thing where I'm just pushing everyone, just a member of each team. It would be all 16, but you can't really do that. So they have a little 5-on-5. Throw everybody in both sides. It's not doing the storylines much good. Pete Dunne really did struggle. As you can see, the rest are pretty much around and about, say about 15 of each other. So it's not terrible. What have Uso score? So, Uso's gone down. Disappointing. But we have improvements. Much is important. We have another video package for Dalton Castle. Yes, he did make his debut in the big Battle Royal at the Rumble, but it wasn't really a proper debut. So he is making his debut now, where he beats Angelo Dawkins. It's a nice simple win. I've got to give Castle some TV time and some wins to see if I can make much of him. We move on to the next segment, where Roman Reigns calls out Big E and challenges him to an odd title match, just to prove that he can take the titles whenever he wants from Hunter. And Big E rashly jumps to the conclusion and says, I'll do it, I can beat you any day. So that's our main event tonight. Our Battle Royal got an impressive 79. That is impressive. You can see the talent that was actually in this. We had Del Rio, Bad News, Corbin, Wyatt, Jericho, Curtis Axel, fill in that one. Daniel Bryan, Dean Ambrose, Ziggler, Swagger, Jinder Mahal, Morrison, Gabriel, Kingston, Angle, Roderick Strong, Ryback, Sami Zayn, Joe, and The Miz. And I actually did give Daniel Bryan the win. So it will be Daniel Bryan versus Big E. We also had Dean, Bray, and Chris Jericho as the final few. I gave Bray the most eliminations because I feel he needed that. Something to keep him looking strong. Host of improvements on flying for Bray Wyatt, which I think is quite good. But if you can't look at the individual performances, but I think that's pretty solid. The Battle Royals are getting better. I used to struggle a lot on that. And we move on to see Triple H just book Big E versus Daniel Bryan. Yeah, it's just continuing it on. He's reluctant to do it, but he knows he has to. So I think that's a good carry on. And in our main event, Roman Reigns does defeat Big E. In-ring performances are 96, but they both lack two big things. Both, I don't know, but still. And it was a clean win for Roman Reigns to prove that he is the superior. And then we move on to Seth Rollins coming out, and they have a little bit of heated confrontation. The smaller Rollins comes out, holds the title up at the top of the ramp, and Roman Reigns has a stare down. So, yeah, we end the show there. I think we may just be on the higher 70s. Let's see. We have another 79. Okay, so we're back on track after the Rumble blip. We had quite a lot going on because we only have 2 weeks to book the next match, and you can't give them too big a twists and turns on this pay-per-view because we're going into Mania. So a lot of this is long-term Mania booking. So head back to that main screen and see what's happening. And we are back to the main screen, so we'll flick through some news. We are on top of that, which is always good to see. Nothing seems overly interesting in there. Adam Cole wants a pay rise. Well, he is one of my champs. And the women are always on the rise, so I kind of have to. Otherwise, it's a lot of moaning, as always. We don't care. They're all the people who pretty much would get released, so there's nothing much you can really do with it. Anybody extra on the hot? Just Sami Zayn from Raw, and nobody from Raw on the bad, which I think is good. As you can see with the storylines, we have got enough. 79 for that one, which is great. Like, considering they're the mid-carders. The Intercontinental continues to stay strong, even though they all kind of lost the match. And they're all looking good in the storyline, which is good to see. This one is always going to be my weak link. This got issues because of other stuff going on. Even this one's gone right up because they were both in the Battle Royal, or 2 people were in the Battle Royal. I believe it was Axel and Mahal only. That one's up to 82. And that one's actually a bit weaker on 75. And that's because of the match that both came off quite weak. So Raw is looking very strong at the moment. So we will finish this one, and next time we're going to come back and do SmackDown. And remember, SmackDown is flat out booking right through to WrestleMania. So thank you for watching, and we'll be back then.